Welcome to the Solo to Entrepreneur show, where solo entrepreneurs are inspired to transform into confident entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Lorraine Chai, and a business strategist coach, where I'm helping you to achieve clarity, strategic growth, and business success. So today we'll be talking about how we start growing our business by leveraging our time and by hiring people. And the first thing that I started doing when I started growing my business was actually hiring assistants and teachers back in the day when I had a music academy. Today I have with me Mark. Mark is a specialist in that area where he outsources and he helps companies and business get in virtual assistants. And that's the thing about this day and age. It's the whole concept of technology where you can make use of that in getting a cheaper, affordable help from different parts of the world to help you in your business grow. So welcome Mark to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, tell us a bit of a background about yourself in terms of how you came about with virtual assistant.
So just as a quick background for me, so I spent like 13 years in corporate, in the supply chain manufacturing logistics space. So it's pretty much across in terms of dealing with different types of people from, logistics, which is like your truck drivers, all the way up to your C-suite, like your CEOs, managing directors, CFOs. So just had a really good experience there. When I started Three Peaks, I was actually a migration agent at the very beginning, a migration agent that had recruitment skills because I had also worked as a recruiter's assistant when I was a student in here in Australia. So that's how I kind of got to know it. And essentially how it all started was we got a colleague of mine who needed help in outsourcing a role to someone in the Philippines, and just knowing that it's pretty much the same thing recruitment wise. It's just the person just works in a different country. So I managed to do that for him, and then that kind of snowballed into something else to the point where it was getting quite busy. And then come COVID, that's where it really took off. So now that's really the main driver of our business, where we provide offshore staff. Yeah.
I love hearing about all these stories where, things just fall into place and it just
Yeah.
happens the way it does.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to hear how, it came about in order to for you to be where you are today. So, yeah,
Mm.
thanks for sharing that.
No.
Now, when you came into Australia and you saw that, you knew about the virtual assistant thing. Back in the day, like virtual assistants is quite something that we don't really think about. It's always like we need help
Yeah.
and we need help with people that are within our reach, right?
Correct. Correct.
So, how did you see that transformation in terms of that thinking to that whole concept of virtual?
Yeah, I think my very first exposure to virtual assistants was when I was working with one of my larger corporate employers before, and we had a team in India. So back then it was like, yeah, all right, you got an offshore team. And that's really mainly for the bigger players, the ones that can afford it, the ones that can actually understand it and have the mechanisms in place to actually get it done. So it was nowhere near the accessibility that we have now in terms of for the smaller businesses, right? But I think for me, the transition came obviously when COVID came. That's when it started really taking off, because at that time, right, we were kind of living in an atmosphere of fear. We didn't really know what was going to happen, right? There's so much uncertainty. But at the end of the day, there's still a business to run, or people still had a business to run. You still needed extra help, but you just couldn't afford, or even if you could afford, you just didn't know how you could get that extra pair of hands to help you out, because like again, we were in COVID, right? So we didn't know. So the virtual assistants really took shape and form coming off that, because um, it's only when they started considering, it's when they say that necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So when you're in need, right, you start thinking outside the box. And it just so happens, obviously, because I network a lot. um, they know that I do offshore. So that's how it came to be that, hey, can you just talk to me more about offshore staff, a VA person? Can you talk to me about like what roles do they fill, or can we actually just stick to a process? I don't have enough cash flow for it, that kind of thing, right? So that really opened up a lot of opportunities for me and my team to not just deliver, but even just having those conversations where you can educate. And even now, those are paying dividends because just by spending like that extra 15 minutes with someone that isn't even in a position to hire a VA, that's paying dividends now because those people are now coming back to me and going, hey, can you just help me out here? I'm just at that stage now where we spoke about where I think I'm
It's
ready to
planting
go.
that seed, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And a lot of businesses don't do that because it's more about the sale, right? But I'm really I think for me by nature, I'm more relational kind of
Yeah,
person.
but like back in the
Yeah.
day, it's all about filing, right? We have all these
Yeah.
physical things.
Yeah, that's
Filing,
right.
it's getting things
Yeah.
on the ground. So
Yeah.
of course you need someone that is there. But I think with how things have evolved, I think
Yeah.
we're in an era where things change really quickly, like
Correct.
with
Correct.
technology. So
Yeah.
now we've got Microsoft, we've got
Mm,
emails. Back in the day, we were writing letters that took like months to arrive, or we had to
correct.
pay really like we had to pay a
Yeah.
lot of money, or like a phone card
Yeah.
just to call
Phone
internationally.
card. Oh,
Right?
geez, we're showing our age.
I know, I know, I know. But it's just awesome, like just to see that evolution of how things have evolved and how things have
Mm,
changed. Like,
correct.
from cassette players to CDs to DVDs and
Mm,
now
that's
streaming.
right. That's right.
Is
My kids
is
don't even know what a cassette tape looks like.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Oh,
But
geez.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Now with that virtual assistants, I know people are like, oh, I don't really need help. I can do everything by myself.
Hmm.
And I've got my own advice about that. But like for
Mm.
you, like how do you see your like people that you help? Like how do you see with them getting a virtual assistant in terms of them helping in the business? Like what kind
Yeah.
of transformation do you see or
Yeah.
difference?
So I think when I also get to speak to those people that, oh, I don't know if I really need it, but I just wanted to have a chat with you. There's mainly two things that I ask for. What do you value most, right? As a business person, what do you value most, right? If you had your way, what would you want? And essentially, it comes down to two things, which is time and money, and or money, right?
Mm,
So if you're just saying that, but it's just admin stuff that, I can pretty much do that whenever. All right, cool. Well, if you think that you can, that you're happy doing admin stuff 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a week, then go do it, right? But if you're finding that that admin stuff is tying you down so that you can actually have time to actually get more business, then that's when you have to rethink it. Or if you go like, look, I'm just full on, I got everything under control. I just need someone else to sit with me, figuratively speaking, and just do the work because the more work we do, the more work comes in,
and
right?
that's the
So
thing. It's like you have
yeah,
time to focus on the business instead of
yeah.
in the business.
That's right. But and not all business leaders, business people are the same. Some are like strategically focused, so that's why they really delegate a lot. Some are more like, well, I'm a doer. I'm a grinder, right? I'm gonna get stuff done. I just need someone to help me get more business in,
Mm.
right? I just need people to get on the phone and just call people up. Like I meet a lot of people, so those kind of things, right? So there's a transformation in their mindset that hey, what's the next step for me? And I think when I hear that, when I listen to people tell me about that, then that's when okay, then I can help you, right? Whether
Mm.
it's just a process or a full-time role that you need, then I can help with that.
So my clients come to me and they're like, we don't want to hire somebody else because every
Mm,
time, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to
mm,
be, where they won't be doing a better job than I am or as equal to what I do. So
yeah,
I tell my clients the fact that if they're able to do the same quality work as you, then they would probably be business owners themselves.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is that you have to figure out like what's more important for you. Is it control? Because if you want control, then yes, no one is ever going to be as good as you, right? But then if you're happy with knowing that if you want to be fully in control always, then that caps your growth, right? But if you want to be able to delegate and grow, then you have to let go some of that control, not all of it, but some of it, right? So that you can actually get on to the next stage. And I often tell that to people that same reasoning that no one's going to be able to do what I do, or like, it's just I have to train them up, right? And they don't turn out. That's why I don't want to consider VAs. But I'm like, if you hire local, you're going to go through the same issues, right? Like hiring local doesn't actually negate those issues. In fact, sometimes that actually makes it worse because there's a person in front of you that you have to deal with, face to face, and tell them
Mm.
that maybe their work is not up to scratch, right?
Yeah, any
But
sort of hiring is going to be the same anyway. Yeah.
100%, 100. But I think there's just this thing, because it's a virtual person, it's not as good, which is like, nah, that's actually not true,
Yeah.
right? So,
So with the hiring process, like I've gone through with going directly to a person and
mm,
employing them to going through a company.
yeah,
So what do you see the difference in someone going directly to person and someone
yeah.
going through a company besides the cost itself?
Yeah, the main thing is time and knowledge, really, because if you've got time to actually screen through the resumes or their profile on LinkedIn, mind you, in LinkedIn, you can put in everything and then no one's going to fact check it, right? But so we're relying more on honesty, right? When people put their profiles on LinkedIn, right? So if you've got time, then go ahead, right? But also, it's also about being knowledgeable about uh, the person in terms of their academic or educational qualifications, the skill sets, because like you're going to have to go through their resume and you're going to have to check out like, all right, that university that they went to, for an example, is that a good university? Is that a top university where he comes from or she comes from, right? Those companies that he or she works, can you actually verify that online, right? So if you don't have time and you need to educate yourself on that as well,
So your
then
company verifies all this background on the resume that people come in with.
correct. That's why we focused primarily on the Philippines, because obviously me being Filipino, I know the universities, I know the companies there. I'm still connected with more than a few players in there that employ a lot of people. So I know what to look out for, and same thing with my team. So that's the benefit of, and I'm just one, right? That's the benefit of having an agency work for you because they can actually verify all of that, right? But hey, if you want to go for it, if you've got a lot of time up your sleeve, and again, control is very important for you, then yeah, go ahead and do it. But if you want to focus on something while something else is being done, which is finding the right person for you, then that's when the value of an agency kicks in.
Mm. So what I can say about this is getting virtual assistants, it's all about trying, isn't it, to see if it's suitable.
Yeah,
And it's all about giving somebody a chance of helping you grow that business. And if,
correct.
if it doesn't work out, then there's always that flexibility of trying out somebody else. It's
Correct.
not just if it doesn't work out one time, then you just give up. It's just consistently
Yes.
finding that perfect person. It's like dating, right? You continuously date until you find that perfect
That's a good
someone
that's
before
a
you
good
commit.
perspective. Yeah, in a way you can say that. It's like speed dating kind of thing, right? Will
Yeah.
you will you be my VA?
Hey, that's a nice show. Let's start it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
Episode. Let's do a
uh,
series.
that's
Uh,
right.
okay, so I've gone down the route of going through an agency as well as by myself.
Mm,
And I think from my understanding is that when you go through an agency, if it doesn't work out midway of, let's say, a month or something,
mm,
with the agency, they've got that um, not verification, but they are obliged to make sure that you're taken care of within that whole month period. So if one
correct.
doesn't work out, is you have somebody at hand to kind of go, okay, maybe let's try this person.
Yeah. Yeah. There is what we call guarantees. It depends on the role though. So for example, if you're like I've got mortgage broking clients, right? And there are agencies out there that are based in the Philippines that provide two types of service, right? The first is similar to me, where I find the right loan processor for you, and then assign them to you, right? But then you still have to train them up. So if something happens during, say, the first 3 months or so, then it's either I have someone on the bench, so to speak, that can step in, or we've got to go through, another round of sourcing and screening and all of that. The second is where the agency actually um, outsource, well, they outsource a process to the agency. So essentially, there's a team that works for you, and there's not one team member that works exclusively for you, right? But there's a team. So you could be talking to someone for 1 week, someone the next week, right? But that it doesn't matter if someone gets sick or leaves the company, there's always someone to do the work, right? So that's the beauty of that. But then again, different cost structures for both, different pros and cons. It really just depends on you as a business owner. What's more valuable for you? Do you value, like some people value that, like I want the VA to feel like part of my team, right? So that's fine. So that's why they don't go the other route. But some mortgage brokers go, well, I just want to get the work done, right?
Mm.
I just throw them the work, it comes back to me at a specific standard. That's all I care about.
It could be as simple as that, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
calculations and all that to
yeah,
like designing and stuff like that,
yeah.
which
So
some people
it
do
really
too.
depends on the type of work and the type of role that we're talking about.
All right. So a lot of solopreneurs, they're like, okay, yes, I need a VA now,
Mm,
but they don't know what kind of work to give them. What is
yeah.
your advice on this? Like, I don't know what to give them. Just do the work,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Well, the thing is, what do you value the most, right? Do you want to go out there and be in front of people,
Yeah.
or are you a doer, or you a grind, like, like, so it really depends what do you want to do. So I would say, if they say, look, I just want to be in front of people, right? Okay, well, what's the what's the first or second thing or things that actually prevent you from doing that? A lot of it is admin. That's pretty common. Like, I just want someone to just look after my inbox, look at my calendar. I just want someone to just help me do presentations, sort out the line up the marketing collateral kind of thing, so that by the time I come in, at least something's done. I can look at it, stuff like that, right? Some people go, um, I just have so much work, but at the same time, I need to keep the pipeline open, right?
Mm.
So I just need someone to follow up on calls, and I can send out the quotes and talk to the client if necessary, right? So those kind of things. So I think the simplest answer is really like, well, what do you value the most? Like, what do you like doing, right? And then from there,
I think it's more
yeah,
like transformational versus transactional. Like
yeah.
what is good that you can leverage out that it doesn't require a lot of effort.
Correct. Yeah, and a lot of people don't think like that, because obviously, when you're running your own business, right? Like, cash is king, so you want to make sure that you're getting the work done and there's work coming in, right? But then, and then the rest kind of just gets, jumbled up.
Yeah.
So when I speak to clients, or even prospectives, specifically for those that are new, sometimes I actually say, look, you may not be in that position now, but hey, maybe automation is really what you need right now. Right, that's also important, especially with AI coming in and really amazing stuff coming out, right? Maybe that's what you need, right? Because that's
Mm.
more cost effective, but at the same time, you get that level of control, and it helps you scale up to that next point where you actually need another person working with you.
Yeah. So with getting someone in,
Mm,
the way that I like to do it, because I've gone through so many VAs, the way
mm,
that I like to do it is that I set out the basic kind of work for them to do before
mm, correct.
understanding their strength.
Yeah.
What would you usually advise your prospects or clients when they start getting your VAs on board?
Yeah, look, so we go through the full suite with them in terms of, like, let's scope out the role,
Mm.
right? Because we need to be really black and white about what we want the VA to do, because we want to treat it like a proper hire. Even if they're just virtual, we want to treat it like a proper hire, right? Because if you set the tone early on, they will know that, all right, this is how it's going to be, right? So we scope that out. We say A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z kind of thing. And
Mm.
then from there we go, all right, so based on what needs to be done, what's the profile of the person that you're looking for. So when we recruit, we actually, and this is something that I've developed in-house just from experience. But there's 5 C's of recruitment from what I can see. So character, competency, chemistry, um, then you've got the corporate profile, and then the channel, right? So most oftentimes we just go to the competency part, right? I just need someone who can do the work, but we forget the character part,
Mm,
right? Where what type of person you're looking for, right? And that's why for me, one of the gold mines that I've actually seen are stay-at-home moms.
true.
Stay-at-home moms
Absolutely.
get stuff done
Absolutely. Yeah. So my
without,
first hire was that.
yeah,
A friend was on maternity leave.
yeah,
And I'm like, could you do this? Because when your kid's sleeping, you could do this.
correct,
And I started with just a
100%.
couple of hours a week
Yeah,
first. And the
yeah,
more I could see her strengths, then the more I start
yeah,
giving work instead of here are 20 things you have to do.
yeah,
Like to me,
that's
that's
right.
a bit much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you just give this opportunity to like that demographic, and they love it. Like they
Mm.
absolutely love it. Yes, you're gonna have to deal with, like when the child gets sick or gets hospital. That's part and parcel of it, right? As parents, we know.
Yeah. Yeah. But they, as you said, they get the work done.
They
Like
get
there's
it
no
done.
excuses. They
A
will
lot
get
of
it done.
my most productive virtual staff team members are single moms,
Mm.
right? I love single moms in that sense because like they're serious, they know what to do, they look after the client, and they know that I'm gonna get this done, right?
Wow,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, very,
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah.
Wow, I thought I was the only one that noticed it, but like
Nah,
you seeing the whole scope of it, it's
yeah, no, my workforce is at least it's probably like 90% female. And that's not by design, it's just happened. Like when we advertise for roles, we don't say it has to be male, female, this
single
age.
mom staying at home.
No, that's right, right? I'm like equal opportunity guy. Like I just want to give opportunities to everyone. So I don't specify anything, but it just so happens in the virtual space, most applicants are women.
Mm.
Yeah, so I don't know why.
They want to be home with the kids as
Well, yeah,
well. Yeah.
possibly, yeah, possibly. But no, it's a great. I'm very thankful for single moms because they make the world go round.
Yes, yes, they do.
Yes, hundred
Now,
percent.
I've learned through the years of recycling, not recycling, like rehiring a lot of
Mm,
VAs is the
yeah,
fact like I'm sick of saying, okay, now I got to teach them, right? So I found a concept, like
yeah,
initially it was like step one, step two, step three, like writing it down.
yeah.
But I was like, oh, fine, I'll just do a video where
Yes,
this is where you go and this is what you do, kind of
yeah.
like a step by step.
Mm,
So
yeah,
instead of having to go, okay, a new virtual assistant, all right, let me teach you how to do this. And then 3 months later, you decide you need a new virtual assistant and you have to do that same process. So
yeah,
instead of doing that, I'm like, okay, just watch these videos. I
yeah,
want you to
yeah,
do this. I want you to do
yeah,
that. Watch this ones.
yeah, yeah. No, that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
We have that as well. Like we've got stuff on video, stuff in documents that's just labeled there. But I think for me, what I've also done is it again, it depends on how you run and how you structure your business.
Yeah, because companies may have different systems, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's right. That's right. So for me, I've got a 2IC. So she pretty much helps with the onboarding, but also in terms of those direct hires with me, I still play a part in the training function of that, but a lot of it, I would say probably at least 60% of that would be on her, right? And she understands that that's her role. Like, so I'm not primarily bogged down by that because again, depends on what you want, how you structure your business. But yeah, that's how I've structured it in my own. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, so like with virtual assistant, with the service that you provide, do you only just provide like full-time virtual assistants, or do you have like different packages for growing businesses?
Yeah, so for us initially, we were just, well, the very beginning, we were like, whatever, right? Because when you're new, you're like, I'll just take whatever, right?
Yeah,
But then I sort of smartened up.
as we
And
all should.
as we all should, you learn from mistakes, right? Some big, some small. But we moved to so full time is still the ideal, but we also do part time, which is 20 hours a week, right? So that's the, sort of like our baseline. Like if you were to engage us, But from time to time, like some of our clients, existing clients, right? They would go, "Hey, I know you only do part-time and full-time, but I just need help for the one-offs, right? Can you help with that?" So for those situations,
Ah,
then we can, because we've got people that do generic stuff for a bunch of clients. So depending on capacity, we can go, "Yep, sure." If it's just like an hour or two each week, yeah, we can handle that. But just keep in mind the work will be done maybe during this time, right? So, but if you have any issues, you can definitely just call out to us. That
hmm.
kind. So that's just opened up, and I think a lot of our existing
No, that
clients,
that
yeah,
does
have been,
help because a
yeah,
lot of business wants to grow, but instead of getting a full, like they don't need a full time at the moment. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
they want to
correct.
grow, but
Yeah,
there's only so much they can do before expanding that largely.
that's right.
So it's good that you're offering. Let's start
Mm,
with just a couple of hours a week first, and
yeah,
then when you
yeah,
start growing, then we can increase that
yeah.
hours.
That's right. And a lot of the clients that we have as well, like they'll outsource a process. So
Mm,
again, we also have like just simple packages, like at the minimum, again, like 20 hours a month kind of thing, right? So instead of 20 hours a week, we've got 20 hours a month, which is like 5 hours. So most of that falls into the admin social media space. Now, I'm not a social media marketing person, but we just help manage content. So that's what we do, right? So, and that's more for brand recognition, building community, if you like Facebook, right, kind of thing.
mm.
But then if they say, "Look, I want to put a strategy in place to help me get leads on social media," then I go, "Okay, then it's time to refer you to a marketer." Well,
Yeah.
they'll set strategy and then we'll do the grunt work.
Okay, so you guys like offer because it's a VA thing, it's more of like the basic of the basic.
Correct,
And then if you want
correct.
specialties, like okay, here's a company that specializes in this.
Yes,
Let me hook you up
yes.
with them.
100%. Yeah, it's just easier. Before we, again, younger days, we're like, "Yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that." And we did get those, and we did do reasonably well. But looking back at it, like, no, we shouldn't have said yes to that. We just easier to refer them to someone else and just kept going.
There is a time and space where we
Yeah,
think we can do everything. It's like, yes, I'll do
100%.
that too. Yes, I do that too,
Yeah,
But
that's right. That's
but
right. Yeah.
it's like being humble and say, okay, no, I'll let somebody take that reign. It's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. And it's also quite empowering to actually say no, or just recognize that you also have a limit on yourself personally and professionally.
Yeah,
Because if you say yes to everything, right, like you're not gonna get any sleep at all,
true, true.
right? And you would know this, being a coach and working with a lot of entrepreneurs, right?
At
When
different time zones, yes.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite empowering to say no. But if you're, I think balancing that with the competitiveness. I'm quite a competitive person. Like, like for me, I'm a go-getter. I want to hit my goals, hit my targets, right? But then, yeah, you got to learn to say no sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, this is nothing to do with business, but
Yeah.
you come from a musical family, as I do.
Okay.
Does your company have a jingle that you've done?
No.
Oh
No.
no!
No, but that's actually a good idea because we're having our first ever Three Peaks International Summit happening in October this year. So I'm actually flying back. I'm gonna bring in the whole team in. We're gonna be booked in a hotel, and then after that we're gonna have fun, all of that. And after that, everyone goes back home. So a jingle would be a very good idea because I know a lot of these guys are quite musical as well. So hey, maybe like we'll do that as I don't know, as a comp or promo, like you get a special prize or something. I don't know, but that's a good idea. That's a
Yeah,
good
and then you can
idea.
always do it like your company's one, and you see Mark singing.
Maybe. I'm trying to go on the when you see those on your feed,
Yeah,
where you go track, you can make millions on YouTube
yeah.
without showing your face. Oh, that'd be good.
Well, you can always have a printout of your face, so it's not
Yeah.
really you,
Yeah.
and be viral on TikTok, right? Because this is
Uh,
the day and age on TikTok.
TikTok is that one area. I've spoken to my social media manager many times, and she said, "No TikTok for you, Mark. That's not where your customer is." So I'm like, "Okay, all right."
So my coach is JT Fox, and my coach, and his CEO, like Francie, was mentioning about this whole concept of marketing.
Mm,
And back in the day, like Facebook was a thing, right? And Facebook was
correct.
just supposed to be networking. It was nothing to do with business whatsoever.
Yeah,
And it transitioned into this whole business world where that's your business card. And
correct.
then you had Instagram that came in as well. And
Yeah,
Instagram to us, we're like, oh, we're just sharing pictures of our food and our dog and our
yeah,
holiday. And
whatever.
now
Yeah,
it's a
that's right.
business page.
That's
So
right.
I'm told now that that we should get onto TikTok because eventually TikTok's going to be the same thing with Instagram and Facebook. And that was what my social media team said as well. So
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
cringing about the fact that I'm on TikTok, but they're managing my TikTok. I'm like, yeah, let's just give it a go because you never know what happens, right, with
Yeah,
social
I'm
media
just
and
waiting.
technology.
Like the moment, so like I've got a social you as a business owner, right? Again, just realizing your limitations, right? That you need to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you in some areas, right?
Yep, expertise in
That,
scrolling. Yes.
that's right. So, I take their advice quite seriously. So I'm just waiting for the day, kind of prepping myself as well when my social media manager says we're going on TikTok now. All right, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
really
just
shows the
waiting for
age
that.
too.
Yeah, I know. I know. Like, I remember we started out with I was doing videos, doing a lot of videos on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. We were doing um, um, like live events on Facebook as well. And for a time that worked. And then when I was doing my like working with them in terms of our social media calendar, she said, Mark, those things don't work anymore. It's like reels now. It's like,
Yep.
those kind of things like, so I'm like, oh, okay. All right, cool. All right then.
And
So
then it started from 10 seconds to 7 seconds to 5
yes.
seconds.
And she's even my social media person, like she's great. Like she's even broken it down to when we post this kind of content, you post it on this day at during this time. She's broken it down to that level
Wow,
where
yeah, but
where
that
she
also
be
depends on which country you're from too.
Yeah, correct, correct. But she's because she's worked in that in she's still working in it. So she's very in tune with the stuff that's happening. So
Mm,
she'll just tell me, all right, if you want me to post this, we'll post it on this date, and at this time,
yeah.
right? Because
Now
that's
going
probably yeah,
going back to virtual assistants, right?
yeah.
Would your virtual assistant somehow have this standard of or level of understanding? Let's say somebody wants someone to do not only like admin work but also social media.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty standard for us. A lot of the baseline stuff that we do needs to have that skill set. I think that's pretty much what's expected of general function VAs
Yeah.
right now. The issue is like, well, everyone can have experience. The problem is like um, you just post a few times on Facebook and suddenly you're a digital marketer, right? So it's really sussing out like, all right, which ones are actually legit, they know what they're
Mm.
talking about, as compared to they're just posting stuff and they don't really know how to make it work for you. Yeah.
True, true. All right, Mark. Well, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, I'll leave the links to all your platforms, social media. I think you gave me those on the description. So
Yes.
if they have any questions or if they want to have any clarifications in regards to what you offer, and
Yeah.
maybe a possibility of them, I don't know, starting out with a couple of hours a week, really,
Yeah,
to get
sure.
things sorted out. Because not a lot of companies offer a few hours a week. So it's good that you
Yes.
offer that.
No, thank
And
you.
that helps growing business like solopreneurs or solo entrepreneurs out there that actually want to start leveraging out to
Mm,
help their business grow. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on board and sharing your expertise in this industry.
no worries. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you and appreciate the impact that you're having on all the other solopreneurs, whether they're your clients or they're just tuning into you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All
Well,
right.
everyone, if you really like this episode, just like, share, and comment on the post. But otherwise, stay tuned for the next episode coming on and stay true in your excellence of success in your business. Otherwise, until next time, see you later.